Let's discuss modern versus vintage. I think I've been wanting to do this video for a while now and just where I stand with the vintage market. So let's get into this. And I want to start off by saying I am a little biased, okay? I prefer vintage. High grade, low pop vintage. I like grading them myself. But my wife, Kate, also is on the modern side. So we've had tons of discussions, tons of talks about this. The Pokemon community doesn't even really have a general consensus on what is considered vintage. Okay, there's so many new modern collectors where they see an older card and they're like, oh, that's vintage. 1996, just in general, isn't vintage. It's like sports cards. And you're like, what are you talking about sports cards for? Just real quick, people that collect sports cards don't even consider the 80s, okay, or even some 70s don't even consider that as vintage. The Pokemon trading card game, just in general, is such a new game compared to other trading cards, especially sports. So I don't even think this stuff should be considered vintage anyway. But we live in a different world, and there's vintage Pokemon and whatever. So to me, the cutoff is 2003. Anything that Wizards of the Coast made, just in general, if Wizards of the Coast didn't make it, you can call it a classic, you can call it a comeback. I don't know what you want to call it, right? But we have to have some type of standard where like this is vintage. So in my mind, anything that Wizards of the Coast printed, I consider vintage. Anything after that, I'm just gonna call it a classic. Okay, so we're talking about Wizards of the Coast era cards. That's what I mean when I say vintage. Let me establish those guidelines for this video first. Some people may not agree with me, and that's okay. Like, that's why we have platforms to talk about this stuff. I think vintage is extremely undervalued, okay? And I get it aesthetically. Like people prefer the art, how cool this looks over just that classic Cosmofoil, that hollow. Like people just see some vintage cards and they're like, that looks just like a regular hollow that you can get in any pack. So I could see where people's distaste or dislike comes from. But if you ever look, and I'm going to compare it to sports cards again, if you ever look at sports cards, some of the oldest and ugliest looking, smelliest cardboard is some of the most expensive in the world. It's because this stuff is nostalgic. All this stuff is never going to be printed again. And I'm just going to go over some pop counts right now and compare and contrast so I could show you firsthand, like, this stuff is scarce. Like, you want to talk about scarcity and just the demand is not here. But let me get into this Dark Alakazam. PSA 10, okay? This is a PSA 10 Dark Alakazam from Team Rocket, 1997. There's 655 of these in the world. Okay, Mewtwo from base set. This is a PSA 10. Mewtwo from base set. 663 PSA 10s at the moment. Ooh, Zapdos from the first set ever, okay? This is a PSA 10 with a pop count of 553. So with these all being PSA 10, okay, let's get into this Gardevoir. This Gardevoir came out in 2023. This is a special illustration rare. This has a pop count of 4,688, okay? That's how many PSA 10s are out there. This Glaceon V-Star, really cool card, has a pop count of 8,272. Okay, I think that we have enough numbers just right there just to do a compare and contrast on how scarce vintage really is, especially PSA 10s. It's so hard to find PSA 10s, and I still think they're mad cheap for the pop count. Okay, just the demand's not there. If all this demand went back into vintage, kind of like how COVID did, and history repeats itself, right? And I'm not saying that this stuff is going to skyrocket within the next year. Okay, I'm a long-term collector. This stuff is not leaving my collection for the next 10, 15 years. That's just the reality of it. It's not up for trade. It's not up for debate. It's not up for anything. There's only 5. Here's another one that I definitely want to talk about. Split Earth Umbreon. This is the Japanese version, and there's only 99 of these in the PSA 10. So for an Umbreon collector, there's tons of y'all out there. This is like one of those grail cards because there's only 99 of them in the world. So for like a avid collector, stuff like this is almost impossible to find. I keep talking about pop reports, right? What is a pop report? Like, what are you talking about pop? For example, if I grade this card, it's going to go into their system and the number is going to increase for whatever grade there is. So if it grades a 9, that 9 gets put into the system and people get to see how many 9s exist in the world, how many 10s exist in the world. It just tells you how much supply is out there, right? That is in its simplest form. It just tells you how much is there. Things like this are super interesting to me. This is a first edition Lance's Charizard from the Versus series. Cards like this only exist in Japanese, so there's no English variant. I think cards like this are very good holds for the long term. That's just my opinion, okay? Especially since there's no English variant and there's Charizards fans out there everywhere. Not everything has to be a PSA 10. This is a PSA 9 Gold Star Entei, and its pop count since 2005 is 1,458. Now you're like, oh man, but I want it in a 10. There's only 293 10s in the world. So this card is just so scarce. Stuff that are very high grade, low pop are going to perform extremely well over time. You need 2 puzzles to that equation in order for it to be true, like the whole pop count thing. Just because something is low pop doesn't mean it's going to be more valuable. So if I grade this and it's a PSA 10, the pop count for this is going to be 621, okay, in a PSA 10. But if somebody grades this and it's a PSA 2, there actually just might be a pop 50, a pop 70 of this card because the grade is so low that most people don't even grade it. So just because it's a PSA 2 and it's a very low pop doesn't mean it's going to be more expensive. It has to be a low pop and a high grade. Just look at cards that are raw in that condition, like moderately played. Look at moderately played cards, and you could probably get that for way cheaper than a PSA 2. You know where I'm getting at with that. The reason why I buy vintage during this whole modern boom is because it's a safer bet. They're not as volatile, okay? If I buy a Mewtwo, a base set Mewtwo at a certain price, I know it's not gonna dip down 20-30%, and I know it's not going to jump up like a 30-40% either, like how modern cards do. Modern cards are a crazy roller coaster and you can't predict this stuff. But at least with vintage, I know if I buy it now while everyone is googly-eyed over the modern stuff, if I buy this stuff now, especially PSA 10s, super high grade of key cards, I just know it's not going to fluctuate as heavy as a safe collectible. You could buy modern all day long, but you know, this pop almost 9,000, going on 10,000 probably by the end of the year, Glaceon, are there going to be 10,000 people in this market when there is a bear market? There will be a bear market. I want you to understand that. It's not going to be this boom forever. And when people end up dipping out, are there going to be 10,000 people that want this card? And is it going to drive the value down or up? These are all things you have to consider when it comes to pop counts. People just grade it just to grade it, and they don't understand that the pop count is such a valuable tool and an asset on contributing where the value should land on something. Why not diversify your portfolio into things that are going to be a lot more stable? It might not jump up like crazy. It might not sit there and have volatile swings, but you never know. Especially if history repeats itself, which it normally does. But people went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over freaking vintage, and they will do it again when the time is right. Yeah, there you have it. That's where I stand on vintage. I think it's extremely undervalued. Things that are high grade, low pop are going to have a premium in the future. We don't know when that future is going to be. Vintage is badass, and that's it. That's pretty much the summary of this video. So again, thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.